this is going to be another interesting question, but it's going to be something that I cannot wait to get you guys' perspective on. Second question is going to be, recently in conversations, the Black Lives Matter movement has raised...
Pass!
Really?
I just had to get it out.
Okay, everybody, so we're back. I just want to say thank you for everybody that's continuing through this actual series. The next part that we're going to be talking about is going to be colorism. We see oftentimes for people to deal with racial discrimination, but sometimes we do it even within our own communities, such as Black women, from brown skin to light skinned women. And I just wanted the ladies to kind of talk through their own personal experiences within their lives and how they actually have dealt with colorism and how it's affected them within their careers.
The Black Lives Matter movement has raised an all-time awareness around the world. Many women are highlighting specific topics such as the lack of urgency for justice with deaths such as Breonna Taylor. But on another platform, colorism has brought to light the Black community, specifically among women. Do you believe there is a disconnect with outside influencers for Black women, but also with one another regarding the tone of their skin and what that means for them regarding opportunities of success?
I believe it was Malcolm X that said the most unprotected human being is Black. Facts. Kind of paraphrasing. Yeah. And I totally can see that. I think it's deeper than the whole Breonna Taylor situation that's going on. I think Breonna Taylor's murder and just everything that comes with it just highlights what's been plaguing our society and our community for generations.
Yeah.
I mean, I just found out a couple weeks ago that there are some family members that were raped and abused, and another particular family member turned a blind eye to it. Now, of course, this is what I don't like. It's common, right? Like, we can all sit here and be like, oh yeah, I've heard those stories in my family, but why? And so when you take a situation like that, and then now you have Breonna Taylor, who was brutally murdered, and there was no justice for it. It's no different than what our aunts, our nieces, our sisters have gone throughout history with injustices being done to the Black woman. And then you have to add in, well, I don't know about you all, but I didn't really deal with racism to the core until coming to the South. And then what made it even harder is that I now have to worry about, okay, this is the South, this is just racism is ingrained in the land here. Not everybody is racist, but there are aspects of systematic racism, and that's just what it is. But then now I also have to deal with colorism in the Black community. I now have my beautiful brown Nubian, chocolate sister thinking I think I'm better than them because I'm light skinned. Well, working in the entertainment industry, if I can just be honest with y'all, I don't see people on TV that look like me. I'll wait. The majority of the women on mainstream television look like you guys.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do I need to
in the sun?
You understand what I'm saying? Like, even when you look at magazines and when you look at commercials, unless I am super chocolate and my hair's, curled in this natural state, then it's like my melanin ain't popping or something. Like, oh no, girl, well, you're not bronzy enough.
I think that part of it stems from the idea, like back to slavery, how if your skin tone was lighter, then you were more privileged. So now I think it's more so people are paying homage to women of darker skin tones because of this thing that was imposed on us, that okay, well, this one is privileged because she can get by with more because she looks more like the oppressor. that type of, I'm not saying that it's right, I think that's more so of what's been taking place, but it proves colorism. Like, it started not just, like you said, not just with Breonna Taylor, but with like something as simple as the Willie Lynch letter, like how he separated us to turn on each other. Like, that's why we have this notion about even benevolent racism, like, you know, oh, you're not like them, or you're better than them because you're educated.
Okay, so let's just pause and take a second here. I don't know about y'all, but when Paris was talking during this, I didn't know what benevolent racism actually meant, or if I had actually experienced it. But as she continued to finish her thought in the middle of this conversation, I realized that not only had I been exposed to benevolent racism, but it really was a part of something that made a difference in my family as being educated Black people, and to say that we were different than other parts of our race. So, of course, if you don't know what benevolent racism means, it's basically when a different race, rather it be white, Asian, Hispanic, does not matter, looks at your particular race due to your educational status or due to maybe your economic status, and have ways of treating someone like that, treating someone different, let's say that, in order for them to say that you're the exception to the stereotype of the race as a whole. So either way, I just wanted to educate y'all real quick. I'm not gonna pretend like I know everything, because I don't, but I did find it very interesting that as she shared it, I was like, what is benevolent racism? And then later to find out, as she kept sharing, oh, I've experienced benevolent racism. So don't know if you've experienced it, but just wanted to kind of drop that nugget in for you guys so you could kind of reflect as the girls continue the conversation. Okay, let's listen.
It's the same thing that we do, but it just is another place to separate us. And we, as women, I feel like as a whole, we've been just really boiled down to objects. They don't see us as beings. They see us as someone that can just produce. We're not, you get what you want out of us, but you don't need us. There's no necessity for us outside of bringing life into the earth. You discard us. And so for that reason, I think that's why it's easy for people to be like, oh, she was just a girl that got killed in her sleep, because you don't see her as a human being that had life, that had value, that had potential, that made a contribution to society. You saw her as an object that could potentially bring life or to get what you needed out of her. Because it's good when you're getting it, but what do you do when that's over? You don't add value or exemplify that value that we bring. So I think it comes down to slavery, colorism, benevolent racism, and all of these things of how the world just really objectifies women.
And I think our community does it too. Like, it's just, I heard somebody say, well, Black men have it harder in America, and so that's why, we rally around, making sure our brothers, they get justice. And I'm like, you all do realize we're all Black. Like, y'all done made this about gender now? Like, at what point is it injustice is wrong?
Right.
No, I really think for me, I've been oblivious somewhat to the colorism type of ordeal, to the whole racism. I've heard of racism because my grandfather he'd be 95 in a couple of days. So I've heard how he reacts and responds to certain situations, but to encounter it myself, I haven't. I think the closest thing that I've even encountered when it comes to colorism is my sister is super dark chocolate. And so they'll tell her, you're cute to be a Black girl.
Oh, I can't stand that.
And so that just grinds my gears. Really. But to experience and encounter, I think I lean more towards your thing of they don't see women as people, as humans, other than objects. I think that's been my take on a lot of stuff is you just see us as pushing out kids, staying at home,
cooking, clean up your mess,
taking care of everything, not understanding that we still have a life to contribute to major different areas. And so I've never really paid attention to how it's portrayed in the media as far as colorism, but I've watched how it's portrayed in the media as far as can a woman do what a man does.
Absolutely. I mean, you can actually see it in the media. I mean, when you look at different shows like Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder, like, unfortunately, that is the definition that gets perpetuated in society of where the only way I can be Olivia Pope is that I have to be sleeping with a married white man.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
A
The
married
only
white
way-
man of power.
Of power and influence.
Exactly.
And then the only way I can be Annalise Keating is I have to, again, be an addict. Now she's successful, but she's an addict. And then she's an addict that's married to a white man.
Either that or you're just crazy. You're a crazy black man.
And that also goes into what you were saying earlier too about how they say that, you know, black men have it worse than black women. If we're gonna put it on a gender level, they have it worse as opposed to getting gunned down, right? But if you look at the woman, black or not, when it comes to being tried, there's a level of respect that people won't do to a man that they do to women.
Absolutely.
Especially like in the workplace or when you're trying to make power moves. You're not going to even be, you know what I'm saying, propositioned to have sex with somebody, but they expect it of you because you're a woman. They're gonna talk down to you. Even down, like I'm telling you, like that was my first like hands-on experience with racism and being a woman in the workplace. I was the only person as a black tax accountant in my office. So I'm the token black person and female because again, accounting, everybody knows it's a predominantly white male field. So I literally had a boss tell me, "You're trying to know too much. You don't need to learn this yet." Because I was actually outranking his prospect for promotion.
Wow.
And I said, well, my job, you know, is to understand. I want to know what I'm doing. I don't want to just do mechanics. That's just how my brain works anyway. And so he got upset because I wouldn't help his chosen anymore. And I wanted to do what I was supposed to do and learn on the outside. They didn't like that. I was a threat at that point. And so because of that, I started getting wrote up, like all kind of stuff. So that's just another way that black women are not protected, that they're not valued because I'm good as long as I'm quiet. I'm good as long as I can benefit you to do your work for you.
Because I'm submissive.
Exactly. And see, that's the trigger word that we don't like to talk about either.
Wait.
Oh, her question.
Because I know that goes to the question.
It's a part of the question.
I wasn't gonna do. I knew, so I was gonna reroute already when you were submissive. But it's so funny that you said you were respected as long as you were quiet. Funny you say that. So here I am. I'm from South New Jersey. Grew up in Galloway. Raised on the sands of Atlantic City, New Jersey. No, seriously. So I grew up in like a touristy area. Like, you know, I remember an ex-boyfriend said to me, "Oh, you don't have culture." Because where I lived, it was just such a melting pot. Came to the South, went to an HBCU, and I had the Dean of Student Affairs at that time. And I'm not going to say what year it was because I don't want to put that person on blast. Let's just say, during my matriculation, she said to me, "You just need to remain quiet." And if I'm honest, you guys, like that really cut me really, really deep.
Yeah.
Because she was like, "You need to stay quiet. This is why, you know, you're having issues with a certain organization because you're already too pretty."
Wow.
And because you're so pretty, you don't need to have a voice.
She said that?
She said that to me.
Wow.
Dean of Student Affairs. I won't say what year. Trying to, you know, be integral. I won't say what year, but I will say it affected my overall HBCU experience. And then this came from a brown sister.
Wow.
And so here it is, like you said, because, you know, the whole ebony and ivory, you know, let's empower our black women. I feel like, for me, my experience being at a HBCU, it was almost like, well, this is our opportunity to redeem what I went through, being told I'm pretty to be dark, that now that I am somewhere where I am honored and accepted, I'm going to now put my foot on anything that does not look like me. And I think as a culture, we've got to stop doing that. And I know what
Okay,
that did
so
to
that
me.
concludes the third part of the Conversations with the Millennial Woman. Again, thank you everybody for watching and tuning in. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Drop any comments that you have down underneath the description below. And of course, please keep in mind that these ladies have truly been authentic. They are some of my closest, most intelligent friends, and they are phenomenal women from the inside out. And I want you guys to stay tuned for next week as we wrap up the very last part where they kind of do their takeaways for this whole experience. Okay, guys, see you next week.